I'm 39 now. I never asked for this war. I'm caught in the middle of a fight I wanted no part of. I'm a farmer. My crops will be lost, my future will be gone, and no matter who wins this bloody war, I gain nothing. Neither Russia nor Ukraine will bring my life back. I have to survive at someone else's expense. This isn't my choice, but did I ever really have one?
In an act of war, Russian military forces push their lines further. The incursion extends across 3 fronts. From the Belarus border, with support from the Sumy region. Advancing toward Kyiv, a second front from Kharkiv, and a third from the south, supported by territories in Crimea.
General Sherman's 1864 campaign crippled the Confederacy by dismantling infrastructure, not obliterating cities. His infamous neckties, twisted railroad tracks, cut supply lines, forcing surrender through strategic paralysis rather than mass civilian destruction. His war was brutal yet calculated, aimed at breaking resistance without annihilating entire populations. In contrast, Russia's war on Ukraine is pure devastation. Missiles flatten cities, targeting civilians as much as infrastructure. There is no strategic dismantling, only eradication. Instead of weakening Ukraine's resolve, Russia's campaign strengthens resistance, proving that destruction alone cannot conquer a nation. Sherman waged war to force surrender. Russia wages war to erase. Yet both wars reveal a truth. Annihilation breeds defiance. Sherman's calculated devastation ended a war. Russia's reckless obliteration ensures Ukraine fights harder. The paradox remains. Strategic destruction can bring peace, but indiscriminate ruin only fuels unyielding resistance.
We know for sure that we don't need a war, but we will defend ourselves. Not attack, but defend ourselves. And when you attack us, you will see our faces. Not our back, but our faces. Slava Ukraini.
Let me be clear. The West is fundamentally responsible for the crisis in Ukraine. The root cause lies in NATO's relentless eastward expansion, which Russia perceives as an existential threat. For decades, the United States and its allies have sought to turn Ukraine into a Western stronghold, ignoring Russia's legitimate security concerns. Russia sees Ukraine as a vital buffer state, and it cannot tolerate Ukraine becoming part of NATO. This is a classic case of great power politics. From Russia's perspective, its actions are defensive.
We support Ukraine's democratic reforms, and we will be working even closer together to help reform Ukraine's defense sector and build a strong, modern...
Let's go back to 2010.
My name is Alexander Kovalenko, 27 years old. I am a farmer, and I just came back from the victory parade in Kharkiv city center. We were commemorating the 65th anniversary of the victory of the Soviet Union over Nazi Germany in World War II. On May 9th, the whole city was there. Early this year, I voted for Yanukovych, as more than 70% of us did in our region.
The presidential election in Ukraine between Viktor Yanukovych and Yulia Tymoshenko took place in 2010. Here's a brief overview. Viktor Yanukovych, leader of the Party of Regions, known for his pro-Russian stance. Yulia Tymoshenko, leader of the All-Ukrainian Union Fatherland Party, known for her pro-European views. She was the Prime Minister of Ukraine at the time of the election.
Let's go back a little further.
Yulia Tymoshenko began her ascent in the oil and gas business in the early 1990s. But it was through the United Energy Systems of Ukraine, founded in 1995, that she amassed significant wealth. Recognizing the political and economic opportunities in Ukraine's energy sector, she approached Pavlo Lazarenko, who at the time was the first deputy prime minister of Ukraine, and proposed a business partnership. This new company aimed to secure a dominant position in Ukraine's gas market by negotiating lucrative deals with Russia's Gazprom. In 1996, Lazarenko was promoted to prime minister, further strengthening his control over the country's energy policy. Under his influence, United Energy Systems of Ukraine was granted exclusive contracts to import and distribute Russian natural gas to Ukrainian industries, solidifying Tymoshenko's company as a key player in the country's energy sector. As United Energy Systems of Ukraine flourished, Tymoshenko's personal wealth grew by millions. Her influence expanded beyond business, and her reputation reached the Kremlin. Russian President Vladimir Putin reportedly referred to her as the only trustable person in Kyiv, highlighting the extent of her connections in both Ukraine and Russia. However, in 1997, legal troubles began to surface. Investigations into United Energy Systems of Ukraine uncovered allegations of money laundering and corruption, leading to legal cases against both the company and Tymoshenko. These charges mark the beginning of a period of intense scrutiny and political challenges, setting the stage for the controversies that would follow her throughout her career. The majority of the charges got the U.S. involved.
Don't be mistaken. Tymoshenko made a fortune from both sides. In the early 90s, she favored the Russian government as it pleased her interests. However, the pendulum began to swing to the other side from the late 90s onward. The U.S. began to exert influence over senior Ukrainian politicians through organizations like the IMF, World Bank, and USAID. Funding through USAID increased dramatically, and around the same time, Tymoshenko's opinions began to shift as well.
It's early 2014, and I have a feeling things are heading in the wrong direction. The country feels deeply divided, and here in Kharkiv, it seems like we're being treated differently compared to how things were just a few years ago. It's definitely not how it used to be. Something feels off, and there's a bad vibe in the air. I can't shake these uneasy thoughts about what might be coming.
Let me get this straight. Estimates suggest that Ukraine has $12 trillion worth of natural resources. The majority of the oil and most of the precious minerals are located in the eastern part of Ukraine. Russia has conquered the entire south and is attempting to advance in Kharkiv and other areas surrounding the oil and gas basins. This is not in vain, and Russia is never going to return the territories it has already occupied. Before the settlement of this war is reached, Russia will attempt to seize additional areas. There, rare metals, lithium, and gold reserves can be found. Now, think with me. If Russia seizes that amount of territory to compensate for the $300 billion in frozen Russian assets held by Europe, what is left for the U.S. to take? $400 billion worth of territory to exploit?
There is no doubt that now, more than ever, Russia will make its final stand. At the beginning of the war, reports suggested that the death ratio between the two armies was 15-1, meaning that for every Russian soldier killed, 15 Ukrainian soldiers had died. Lately, this ratio appears to have decreased, but it is still around 8-1. The fact is that this war is being fought using the same strategies employed during World War I and World War II. Artillery remains the dominant factor, and Russia is producing more 0.5mm bullets than all Ukrainian suppliers combined. They can fire continuously all day long, and supplies will keep flowing. Looking back to 2022, do you remember when we discussed how Russia launched incursions from the north, only to suddenly withdraw its troops? It happened in 1912, and it happens again. A testament to the unwavering rhythm of history, where Russia's military doctrine remains a reflection of its enduring nature.
We have 300 billion in frozen Russian assets in Europe. It is our insurance policy. We are just holding it. We haven't used it. Yet.
Oh, Europe has its insurance policy, and we, Americans, must secure our own as well. Europe will get its money back, and we too must ensure that we get ours. I will accept any deal that is good for Ukraine, but only if I can also secure asylum elsewhere, with all my expenses covered for a lifetime. You all know that I know way too much.
They put a gun to my head. I was on the front line. I got shot. Until a few months ago, I could barely walk. My name is Alexander Kovalenko. I am 42 years old. It is 2025 and my family has been displaced. No food, no income. My crops, gone. My possessions, lost. All for nothing. They are like parasites, a virus. They come, they take, they drain everything until nothing is left. Then they move on to another land, another war.